The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
Welcome to Behind the Law and happy weekend to you. Welcome, and as always, my beautiful co-host, Makaila Nichols. Makaila, how are you?
Fantastic.
You are the one to talk for the people at home. I'm a lawyer. You're not. You're supposed to ask the question. What is this?
It's the people.
The people.
It's Bane.
The people. You were supposed to ask the questions that people are actually thinking at home. Are you ready?
Yes.
And keep in mind, we are live right here. I will leave the phone number on the screen. If you have any follow-up questions whatsoever, it's 321-282-1055. But let me ask you a question, okay? Florida woman, true story, Florida woman throws steak at Florida man, her boyfriend.
What a waste.
Does not connect. Is that a crime? Rajan Joshi will be here. Muna Abraham will answer that question. Also, a lot of roof claims, a lot of storm damage. What do you do when your insurance company will not pay to fix your house, will not pay to fix your roof? We will answer those questions. Makaila, are you ready?
I am.
Here's what we're going to do. A very quick break. When we return, Behind the Law will continue.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
Welcome back, and it seems that Florida men and Florida women often have fights, and for some reason, only in Florida, they attack each other with food. We've talked about it on the radio show 100 times. We've seen grits, spaghetti attacks, and now a steak attack. This time, though, Florida woman attacks Florida man with a steak. I don't know what type of steak it is. The steak does not hit Florida man, but is that still a crime? Rajan Joshi joins me, Muna Abraham. Hey guys, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So Florida woman and man intoxicated, of course, because most of these food attacks happen while drunk. Florida woman throws the steak at Florida man. Misses. It hits the wall behind Florida man. Is this a crime?
It could be. You know, there's several different offenses. It could be, you know, if it's, you know, out in the public and she's throwing steak around, it could be littering. And let's just say if he sees the steak and he gets scared, it's going to hit him and he, you know, misses, then it could be, you know, a simple assault, which is a misdemeanor. Now, hypothetically, if the guy was in a car and she threw that same steak, the same thing as the simple assault, missed him, but it entered the car, then it becomes a burglary with a battery. And the distinction between that is a second-degree misdemeanor assault is the lowest on the food chain. Burglary with a battery is punishable by up to life. Now the person's looking at, you know, potential prison sentence and even being held with no bond.
Really?
Yes.
Even if you don't hit the person?
Even if you don't hit the person. It's an assault when you don't hit the person and you put them in fear. It's a battery if she took the steak and just whacked him. So.
Wow. It's a big difference. So when it comes to assault versus battery, what can the penalties be different-wise?
The penalties aren't that much. They're both misdemeanors. It depends if you're committing an assault with a deadly weapon like a baseball bat in that situation or a firearm, then the assault becomes aggravated assault, which makes it a felony. Likewise, a battery. You know, if I knock someone over the head with a baseball bat, or hit him over the head with a gun or shoot him, then it becomes an aggravated battery, and then it becomes a real serious felony where they're looking at prison time.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, just by definition, what is the difference between an assault and a battery? I think people get those two confused.
So a battery is when it's actually just unwanted touching.
Okay.
So even something as simple as this, where Rajan here didn't say that I was allowed to, he didn't consent to me touching him, that right there is a battery.
And by the way, he did not consent to that.
He did not. So if you wanted to prosecute,
and it's on camera.
Well, technically, she's in my office, and I consent to almost everything she does.
I see. Wow. So you hear a lot about these batteries that happen in houses like this, and you hear about assaults as well. Sometimes you will hear about one being aggravated, like a domestic violence with battery or with touching. What does that mean?
So for it to be aggravated, I know you gave the example of aggravated assault. That could include a firearm or a weapon, and it doesn't need to be a real, knife or a machete. It could be something as simple as a box cutter that you had in your pocket, or even a pocket knife in some instances. So that can aggravate it. For batteries, if it's an aggravated battery, it could be because of the injuries, if they're very severe. If you end up sending someone to the hospital, your battery, even if it's a first time, goes from a misdemeanor to a felony.
And even if you didn't intend to, like, let's just say I'm in a fight and I punch the guy and I hit him in the nose and it breaks his nose, right there, even if I didn't intend to commit a battery, it elevates it to a felony battery. And also, you almost get like one bite at the apple. If I had a prior battery and I got like a slap on the wrist, my second one becomes a felony.
We hear about fights at bars a lot, of course. Everything seems to come back to people boozing, I guess. But you hear a fight at a bar, and, well, that guy pushed me, so I hit him. How do we determine if you're going to get charged with battery when you hit someone? Maybe they pushed you first. Maybe they hit you first. How do the cops determine who to charge?
A lot of times what happens is they arrest everyone, and everybody gets, and then they sort it out. And, if neither person is going to testify, it doesn't go anywhere with these bar fights. Yeah. Sometimes one person may be justified in self-defense. Guys are coming at him, and we've talked about self-defense in this show, and, he stands his ground and meets force with force. And then in that case, they would be justified. And in other cases, you just get that thug, the drunk guy who goes around beating up people, and there's a bar full of drunk witnesses, maybe a video camera. That guy's probably going to be prosecuted.
When officers get called to a bar for a bar fight, they obviously go there first and I guess break things up, make sure everyone's protected. Do they normally break it up and they just get out of Dodge, or do they normally stick around and look at videos and try to figure out who started it, who's at fault?
It depends on the situation. If it's closing time, 2, 3 in the morning, officers are arriving, it's probably a little bit harder to keep everybody there and to find out exactly what happened. Honestly, it's just your luck. Sometimes you have a great officer, they come and they do a thorough investigation. Sometimes they're limited. You've got a huge group and just limited amount of officers, and whether or not they have surveillance and ability to do the investigation, it's difficult. So it's a lot of he said, she said too.
Speaking of great, you guys are great when it comes to criminal defense. It's not just state, federal charges as well. The Joshi Law Firm is fantastic. You can ask them a question right now or call Rajan directly after the show. It's 321-282-1055. My firm, every criminal case we send to Rajan because we trust him that much. And Rajan, this is a very important time in someone's life. When you're charged with a crime, it could arguably be considered the most important time in your life.
Absolutely. I mean, being charged with a crime can have lifelong repercussions, and you only get one bite at the apple. You can't go back and, get an attorney, they mess up, and then say, hey, I want to go back and try and fix the problem. It's almost impossible at that time. If you're charged with a crime, you've got to take it as the most serious situation in your life and do what you need to do. Hire the best attorney you can, and have faith, because the system does work. It's not a system that people just get arrested and it's over and done with. There are checks and balances, and we try to be that check and balance. We try to keep the police officers accountable. We try and make sure that the prosecutors are held to that standard that they are required by the Constitution. And we know that everyone who's charged with a crime is presumed innocent. And we take that very, very serious at our law firm.
When it comes to burglary versus robbery, you hear both used sometimes interchangeably in TV shows or movies. What are the differences?
So a burglary is when someone enters either your house or your car with the intent to commit a crime inside of it. So when you hear someone say, my house was robbed, it's not necessarily true. It's that their house was burglarized because someone had entered and most likely had stolen something that belonged to them. So that theft was the crime. Them entering without the permission of the homeowner is the burglary.
And the thing is like a lot of people think that a burglary is the guy who breaks into the house with the gloves in the middle of the night. You know, a burglary could be, you know, I could have a friend over and I could say, hey, get out. And now he's in my house without my permission and he says no and he just knocks over a vase. Now he's committed a crime of criminal mischief. Now that's a burglary right there. So it is not just, you know, breaking, it's not breaking and entering necessarily, it's entering. And, you know, and it's entering with the intent to commit a crime. You don't have to even commit a crime. So hypothetically, let's just say some guy breaks into my house because he wants to drink, you know, a 6-pack of beer. He's in my house, and what he's doing is committing a trespass. He's not committing a burglary at that time because he's not committing a crime. Now, if the guy is under the age and he breaks into my house to drink some beer, now he's committing a crime, and now that's a burglary. And the distinction between trespass and burglary are, you know, day and night. Whereas a robbery is, you know, if I take something from someone with force, like I just go there and I grab Mona's bracelet and push her aside or something like that. Now I've done the taking off a person with force. And if I use a weapon, say, give me your bracelet, now I've committed armed robbery. Oh. Well, not my fingers. This ain't gonna do much.
We live in Florida, obviously. A lot of people have outdoor pools, outdoor kitchens. We have the outdoor lanais. I'm not going into their house. I see they have a nice bar outside, some Jack Daniels, and I'm like, I'm gonna help myself to some Jack Daniels. I'm gonna go into that lanai area and make some cocktails and take the bottle with me. What have I done?
If the pool area is enclosed, you've committed a burglary. You know, if it's fenced in and it's enclosed, then you've committed a burglary. If, on the other hand, it's, you know, just open area, an open pool, then you've committed a theft, depending on the amount of the Jack Daniels.
Is that right?
Yes.
What is it? What does theft mean exactly? It's
unlawful taking.
Okay.
So it could be something that happens, even if I just took something for a couple minutes because I wanted to borrow it without asking for permission, that's a theft.
Really?
Yes.
And is that normally a slap on the wrist type of thing? What is a theft?
It depends. Okay. So, you know, Rajan explained that if it's a battery, if you've got a battery and then your second one comes around, that's a felony. You have a battery with a prior. If you have a petty theft, even if you stole a piece of candy from 7-Eleven or, you know, your friend's watch, on the third try or your third time getting caught, that's actually a felony because you have 2 prior petty theft convictions.
How do they deal with juveniles? It seems like juveniles under the age of 18 might go to the local 7-Eleven and take things sometimes, candy bars, this or that. If the cops are called and they get charged with something, how does it work if you're under 18?
Well, the system in juvenile is more about rehabilitation than it is about punishment, whereas adult crimes is more about punishment. So if the juvenile doesn't have a bad record, they're going to try and work something to rehabilitate the juvenile.
And is it normally they lock them up at the juvenile detention center, or is it how are they treated, juveniles?
No, not for something as small as burglary, as a theft. They get more of the slap on the wrist. The parents will likely get involved. There is teen court or pretrial diversion. It's their one opportunity to come in. They'll sit in front of their own peers. We'll find out what they did, and they'll take responsibility. And then their own peers will actually give them the sentence. So it might be write an essay or a letter of apology or pay back what you owe and do community service.
Muna Abraham, Rajan Joshi, as always, what a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Don't throw steak at your man or a woman.
The thing I want to know is you know, is a dry aged steak? Or like a regular steak? Because it should be a bigger crime if you waste a good steak.
I agree. Wagyu beef. We talked about that before. I mean, that should be a felony. That should be a felony. I totally agree. Excellent job, guys. Great to see you as always. If you have been charged with a crime, a family member charged with a crime, I assure you that can chase them forever unless you fight it. Here's what we'll do, quick break. When we get back, storm season is here. Your house has been destroyed. Your roof has been destroyed. You file a claim with your homeowner's insurance. They say, oh, it looks like $8,000, but it's going to be $40,000 to fix it. What do you do? It's just ahead. It's Behind the Law. Does credit card debt have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At Attorneys Justin Clark and Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your credit card debt. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Here we are with personal injury attorney Michael Mills. But Michael, you're way more than an attorney. You've been able to bridge the gap between doctor, lawyer, and consumer with your Injury Assistance Network, or IAN as it's known. Tell me about it.
Well, what it is basically it's a online personal injury network of providers, both medical and service, and it just helps personal injury attorneys and the general public find quality healthcare providers and service providers to take care of them when they've been injured in an accident.
Because the medical part of it is a huge piece in getting these clients recovered. You're a great personal injury attorney, though, as well. A lot of advertisement for PI guys out there. What separates you?
22 years.
Yeah.
My first 6 years, I did work for the insurance companies. I worked at one of the largest insurance defense firms in Florida. And then for the last 16 years, I've been representing the actual injured victims, as well as some of the providers as well, doing PIP work. Okay. So I'm able to take that, what I learned, and bring it to the plaintiff side. Excellent, man. Keep up the wonderful work. And whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, or a consumer who's been injured in an accident, call Michael Mills today. He's over on the good guy side, I would say, right? Yes, absolutely. What side did you like better? This side, definitely. Yeah. I've come to the light. Exactly. I'm glad you did. Michael Mills, the Injury Assistance Law Firm. Give him a call today if you've been injured in an accident. But again, if you're a doctor or a lawyer, you need help finding help in that regard, call Michael Mills. Is student loan debt holding you back? I'm attorney Justin Clark. You may have the power to lower or even eliminate the payments that have you living paycheck to paycheck. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life. Welcome back to the show. We live in Florida, obviously. We have a lot of storms here. We have hurricanes. We have bad storms every single day in the summertime. Inevitably, we're going to have hail. We're going to have damage to our house. Homeowners insurance is certainly a hot button issue here in the state of Florida. But the question for today is this. Your home is damaged by a storm or by a hurricane. The insurance company is going to shortchange you on how much they're going to pay you to fix your house. What do you do? Who else to ask but Brooke Boltz. How are you, Brooke? How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
You don't look like a Bruce. I just don't speak very well, I promise you. Great to have you here at Boltz Legal. You guys do a great job when it comes to homeowners insurance claims. Let's get right to it. I'm a homeowner. I have hail damage on my roof. What do I do? Who's the first person I call? Take me from there.
Most of the time when you have roof damage, you're going to call a roofer first. Have the roofer take a look at it and tell you if it looks like you have storm damage. If so, then the next step would be to file an insurance claim with your insurance company. Once that's done, the insurance company will send out their own adjuster who will take a look at the damage themselves, and then you'll get a letter in the mail telling you what the decision was. If it's a decision that is unsatisfactory to you, either a denial or an underpayment, then you have some options at that point. You can either go it alone and argue with the insurance company yourself. You can let it go and move on with your life and not pursue it, which is something a lot of people choose to do. Or you can, fight for the repairs that are necessary through hiring an attorney to represent you.
I can't afford an attorney. I don't have 10 grand to go stroke you a check.
Well, the good news for you is that in Florida, the law is that if we prevail in your case and if we prevail to a certain extent, then your attorney's fees are covered. But even if we don't prevail, we have what's called a contingency fee, which means we don't get paid unless you get paid. So there's no out-of-pocket cost to you, whether we win or lose.
Beautiful. I love that a lot. How often would you say insurance companies pay the full value of a claim?
Up front, without
fighting. With them just say, hey, dear homeowner, here's a check, and it's going to cover everything, and everyone goes along happily.
So those cases don't usually come to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know any precise percentage, but I get a lot of cases to me and other attorneys who do this line of work. So I think more often than not, my guess is that they don't pay the full value of the damages up front.
Yeah, I have the same suspicion, unfortunately. I mean, that's what an insurance company's job is, I guess, at the end of the day, is to take our premiums, build buildings, and invest the money and pay us as little as possible.
Well, there's a great book. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There's a great book, delay, deny, defend. I might be getting those in the wrong order, but it talks about this, that insurance companies some time ago learned that by delaying or denying and defending cases that they could, keep the money in the bank. Seems intuitive, but there was a time when that position changed.
Unfortunately, it happens all the time in all sorts of different insurance disputes. But that's why why people you and I exist, I guess, is to fight people who are not going to do the right thing.
Exactly.
When you say so, it's not just roof claims though. Oftentimes, other parts of the house get damaged as well and have to be repaired. What generally is covered by homeowners insurance?
Homeowners insurance generally covers sudden and accidental losses. So something that is maintenance or wear and tear is not going to be something covered by insurance. So, a water leak, a sudden accidental water leak is going to be something that's generally covered by insurance. A lightning strike, a fire, things that are sudden and accidental.
And do they base it on the value of my home? Let's say a fire completely ravages my home. Are they going to base it on the value of my home or how much it cost me to build the home? How do they come up with the damages?
It's going to be whatever your coverage limit is. Okay. So you have coverage A, B, C, and D. Coverage A is for the dwelling itself, and whatever your coverage limit is what would be paid out if your home was a total loss.
And let me tell you something, if you're going through an issue like this right now, you're fighting with your own insurance company, your homeowner's insurance company, do not be afraid to hire a lawyer because oftentimes you're not going to have to pay them anything up front. They're going to fight for you, and then at the end of the day, the insurance company is going to have to pay the legal fees as well. I can't think of anyone else better than Brooke Boltz, Boltz Legal. Call her today, even if you just have questions. This is not one of those deals where she's going to charge you $400 to come in her office and tell you there's nothing she can do. It's 321-282-1055. These claims can take some time. I mean, let's say I do have a roof claim. I have a big hole in my roof. It's leaking. What do we do in that situation?
So your insurance policy says you have a duty to mitigate your damages, which means even if they underpay you or deny your claim, you have a responsibility to protect the home from getting further damaged. So if you have a hole or you have something that's leaking, you want to make some type of temporary repair or put a tarp on it, do something that's going to make sure that the water is not continuing to get in while we pursue your insurance claim. Mm-hmm. You also have the option, if you have the financial ability to pay for those repairs up front and get those, and then we can pursue a reimbursement for you if you have the ability to go ahead and replace the entire roof or whatever is needed.
I feel like I'm beating around the bush right now. Let me tell you what's really going on out there. We have some really scummy kind of roofing companies who are going around trying to get people who don't deserve their claims to be covered. And then we have some scummy insurance companies who are trying not to pay them too. And these two entities are battling right now. The homeowners insurance lobby is battling with a sort of a scummy sort of your roof really wasn't damaged type of company. That's what's going on right now. It's a big fight, isn't it?
Huge fight, and I've actually been on both sides of that fight. Yep. I worked for the insurance companies for 9 years, and now I work for the homeowners or the consumers on this side. So I can understand both of the arguments, and my viewpoint is that there are good and bad people, good and bad lawyers, good and bad adjusters on each side, and you choose which of those you want to be, regardless of which side you're on.
Yeah, and lastly, we always hear of this insurance of last resort, Citizens Insurance. What does that mean exactly?
Citizens is an insurance company that is sponsored by the government, by the state of Florida, and it is an option for most homeowners if other private insurance companies will not insure them. Citizens can still decline to take your policy though.
Oh, really? They don't have to?
They don't have to. I have heard of some people who have been declined by Citizens. So,
really?
So it's not guaranteed that they will insure you, but they are your best option if you can't find coverage elsewhere.
Yeah, it's a little more expensive, I hear, as well, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Have you noticed rates going up or
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they're going up across the board, huh?
Yes, my clients are constantly complaining not only about their rates going up, but they get non-renewed, many of them, when the policy period comes around. And because they have an insurance claim pending, most of them cannot find replacement coverage while their claim is pending. And so they're in a position where they have no insurance while their claim and their case is going on. So crazy. Particularly in those cases, those are very high priorities for me, and I try to expedite them as quickly as possible. Right now, though, it's such a huge percentage of the population who are being non-renewed that it's just a challenge all around.
Brooke Boltz, Boltz Legal, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
If you have any questions about your insurance claim, call us right now. The phone number's on the screen. Quick break. When we return, it's What Did We Learn? If you own a rental property or properties, or you're a real estate agent, you need to listen up right now. Greg Mann is here. Greg, how are you?
I'm great, thanks so much.
Property manager to the stars, the best one that I know. But you have this great program for real estate agents. How do you help agents when it comes to their clients' rental homes?
Well, we do two things. First of all, we look after the clients in a great fashion. But secondly, we reward them with what we call the residual income program. So they get a lump sum to start with, and then every single month that we manage the property, they get a proportion of what we make in the fee. Yeah. And they get a cool thing too. We guarantee that when the owner sells the house, they get it back to them.
I love it. Real estate agents, you have to listen up. Send your properties to him. He's going to give them back to you. He's not going to try to get that listing, but you're so successful because what a great job you do in property management. If I even own one rental property, why should I not do it myself? Why should I let you take over?
It's way too risky to do it yourself. There's too many legal potholes to fall into. We've got a great team that just takes the stress off of you.
I completely agree. You're doing such a great job with for all the realtors that I work with send their clients to you, and they know that they're going to get the listing back. But most importantly, they know you're going to take great care of their clients, which is hugely important. If you have any rental property or you are a real estate agent, call Greg today. The phone number's on the screen. Visit his website. I assure you he's going to take great care of you and great care of your client. Call Greg Mann today.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
Wrapping up Behind the Law today with What Did We Learn? Makaila, what did we learn?
I learned to not throw a steak at someone, or anything really. I didn't realize it could be an assault.
I don't understand why you would waste a steak, number one.
But perfectly good waste of food.
Even if you do not make contact, you can still be charged with a crime. I also learned, look, if you are burglarizing a car and you hit somebody while you're doing it, that exacerbates those charges like crazy. I mean, we're talking about a possible life sentence. Pretty nuts. Also, and maybe I put words in her mouth, but I learned that these insurance companies can be cheap. Not all of them. A lot of them can be very cheap when it comes to damage to your home, whether it's a roof or anything inside your home. They're not just going to go stroke a check for no reason. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
And a lawyer generally is going to be free in that situation. Makaila, excellent job today, as always. Thank you for joining us, as always, this weekend. Hit record series right now, and we'll see you more next week for Behind the Law.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.